Let's draw something festive in Procreate. Today I'll show you how to create a pretty fall pumpkin step by step. This is a great project to practice shapes, adding details, and building a simple design on your iPad. We'll be working on my living watercolor canvas, and I've left the link to it in the description so you can follow along with the same brushes I'm using today. And if you're ready, let's draw together. Let's start off by going and getting our sketching pencil that we'll be using today. It's part of the Illustrator starter kit, as always, and if you don't already have it, go to the goodie bag at prettylittlelines.com to get it for free. And in there you'll find this sketching pencil and a load of other goodies. So I'm just gonna go and find one. I think I'm just gonna use this sketching pencil here. This week it's kind of my favorite, so I'll be using it. And let's get started. So to start off, we're just gonna sort of draw an oval sort of shape, a rough pumpkin shape, something like that. Kind of just map out where we want to go with this. Where the little stalk will be like that. And then we're gonna have a bow on this guy to make it pretty. So we can just kind of draw a little shape like that. Let's make this a nice big rounded bow. Something like that. You can kind of, if you do a little curve here, then that's sort of the inside of the ribbon. So it's like this section and then it goes around. Same thing on the other side. Maybe square it off a little bit more there. If that, I don't know if that's squared off, but you know what I mean. There's a little bit more of an edge there, not quite so round. It'll just make it look a little bit more interesting. And then just round it off, and then again you just come in and do that curve like that. That's what makes it kind of look like a lovely, nice full ribbon. Okay, so then we'll have sort of the ties that are coming out here. I'm curving down, sort of following the shape of the pumpkin. You can do the trimmed edge here. Like that, and then maybe this one will be a little bit more to the side. Wow, kind of going way off here. Let's try that again. I don't want it going past the pumpkin, these little edges here. It'll kind of make it a nicer shape, I think. And make it different than the other side. Okay, so now let's kind of work on our pumpkin. It's fairly straightforward. We'll just have, like here, I'm gonna actually erase this so we can see the subtle detail. I have sort of a curve here and a curve here. So this stalk, we can kind of see that it is tied, or not inside the pumpkin, like it's tied to the stalk. I'll just kind of read a little bit better. So you're gonna have this section here. Just make it rounded. And then you have another one. You know how they go, sort of all these little areas. So this is gonna curve more. Just make sure that these aren't going straight. They're gonna have to obviously go around, otherwise the perspective will look very odd. So let's just do that. I'm just gonna erase so that you can see this a little bit clearer. Okay, and then just have these rounded here. That's probably a little bit much. These ones are gonna be much, or this one rather. I don't know if we need that side. It's just gonna curve in much more subtly there. Much softer. Okay, same with this side. And have a few here. Actually, maybe I'll have two here just to change it up. So they don't all need to be the same size, like the same spacing. You can have some a little thinner if you wish. Okay, let's see. Let's see if that's cute. Okay, I think I want to just alter the shape slightly. So I'm going to go to my magic wand and to liquefy, have push on. This is going to be just sort of a guess, maybe around 60. I want it a little bit more, just a little bit more squat, if that makes sense. Something like that. And I can also edit my bow if I want. I think this side got a little bit away from me, so I can just do that. Actually, I'm going to take, if you just go to your selection tool, have freehand and add on, you can just select pieces, and then with your arrow, just size them, and you can move them too. I'm just going to just change that a little bit. I'm also going to change this here. I think I want it not quite so rounded there, maybe sort of scooping around might be a little more natural looking. Something like that. Okay. Good stuff. All right, so then we're gonna have some fall foliage in front. Now that we've drawn this, we're actually gonna do a little bit of erasing here. So actually what I'm gonna do is just create a new layer on top. That way I can erase below without having to worry too much. So I can just do my placement a little bit easier. So I'm just gonna draw a circle. Then I'm gonna draw a leaf, or a petal rather, like here. And something that's not in line with this, like that. I'm just gonna go behind and erase a little bit, just so now that we know kind of where it is, I can take that out a bit. Go back to this layer, and we'll just kind of have it so it's sitting on the ground. So you can have something like this and then have sort of the turn up of the petal there, so the little lip. Maybe a little one here. Again here, something like that, just so you can tell it's kind of sitting. There we go. Something close to that. And then we can carry on and do a few more fun stuff. Actually, you know what? We could do this too. We can turn down the opacity of our pumpkin, just so we can kind of focus on the foreground here. Might make that a little bit easier to see. So let's just kind of map out what we're going to do. Some sort of berries. Again, having different textures is going to make this look way more interesting, way more professional too. It's not all the same scale and stuff, so play with that and little nubbly bits, and then we'll have broader leaves just for some variety. Okay, I think I just kind of want these. It's literally like flower arranging. I think that florists would make great artists, or like traditional artists. Okay, let's add some more like broader type leaves, more maple leaf type thing. Well, not really, but that kind of idea. So I'm just gonna have one coming out like this. So I'm just gonna do that, and then I'm going to just have these little veins, and then you can kind of follow roughly. That should be quite a bit smaller. Kind of that shape. Let's see, something like that. I want to make sure that these look like they're sitting, so I'm just going to take my selection tool again and maybe just, you know, like it's more flat. It's not on an edge or something, like coming over. It needs to sit somewhat flat in a way. I do want them to come out, so just keep that in mind. So I'm going to have this one, that, so you just draw your little triangles, shapes. Okay, yeah, that looks like it's sitting well enough, I think, for our needs. So let's just have a little bit of one just peeking out here. Just to sort of fill that space in. And then maybe something, let's see, we kind of have something that sort of curls here, which would be pretty. That's kind of coming from, oops, a little bit too big of an eraser. Just want to make sure that this is separate from that, doesn't interfere with that. And we can have, you know, they can overlap, of course, because that would make sense. Look a little bit more natural. So, a few little leaves. Another little curl there. Something close to that. All right. And then we can carry on with maybe a few more just broader leaves here. And just do your triangles. Something like that. That was kind of funny. I just want this one actually to tuck underneath the pumpkin. So let's just erase that so it's kind of sticking out from below because it's sitting on it. So that makes some sense. I feel like this one a little bit more rounded like that. Okay, and I think we should probably mirror a little, some type of curlicue over here. It's a little bit too far out. You could even have it overlapping like that. Kind of want this one to be not so matching. Maybe like that should be okay, that little detail. All right, so we have a base. Now we can just add a few more bits just to make this nice and full. Maybe this is sort of coming from behind a bit. I feel like something needs to be sort of over here to fill in this space. So what can we do? Something like that. Yeah, just kind of try to make it nice and curvy. And something needs to kind of come out here. Just trying to think of shapes and scales and just having that variety, that texture. So different shaped leaves are going to help you do that. Same with having like little berry bits, and you can have, you know, leaves and berries on the same same little bit. Okay, and let's see. Something, if I just put lines in, sometimes that just sort of helps see where it could be filled in a bit. So I'll do that, and maybe this, it's very messy, but that area definitely use a little something, maybe something a little bit more, like a little bit on the smaller scale. I actually don't like that. it's not the right thing for it. It was too similar, too much or something. It should be a little bit more subtle, I think. So maybe something with a wider leaf. And then, let's see. Maybe just a little bit more like that. Yeah, sure. I think that's okay. Maybe add some more berries in here. Just to make that, mirror that a little bit. And here, let's just add some more leaves. Okay, maybe something coming up just right here. Just little. Maybe a little curl. You can have a little leaf off of it. And I want something overlapping here. Let's see if that looks good. Just make sure that it obviously overlaps. Okay. Do I want stuff here? Probably. Would balance it for sure. I'm trying to decide whether I want it sort of not balanced, like sort of to the, like a 3/4 sort of to the side, but I think I want a little bit more balance than that. Let's just have a look. You can always erase it. That's why it's not a problem. Don't want to be exactly the same height, so I'm going to try to purposely be either above or below, but still look balanced with the weights. This will go, let's say, behind the pumpkin. Maybe like that. Should something, maybe this should be a little bit bigger. Yeah. Okay, I think that's good for the foliage. So let's just have a look and bring our pumpkin back here. And well, we have to do a bit of erasing. Maybe I'll just leave it down a little bit. It's almost easier to see. So get your eraser, be on the right layer of your pumpkin, and just take some of that out. Okay. Right, so we can bring that up. Okay, so I think I'm really happy with that composition. So this sketch is more than adequate for a watercolor painting. That's what we'll be doing in the next lesson. So this is a 2-part series, but it's nice to have line work that's all nice and neat, and you can use it for something else as well. So we can still have this as a line drawing. You could use to color in a different way, not just watercolor. So why don't we go ahead and clean this up and just make it a beautiful line work pumpkin. Okay, so I'm gonna just merge these 2 layers together so they're all on one. I'm going to tap on the end and bring down that opacity, and then create a new layer. I'm going to change my color to brown just to make it a little bit softer. We'll just use a sketching pencil. My size is around 20. Let's just make this look nice. So I'm just going to add sort of a bit of detail to this in that I'm going to shape it a bit so it looks like it's been tied. It's not just like the perfect shape. So you can add a few lines kind of like that, like the fabric has been gathered. It just makes it look a little better. All right. Just make your line work your own. I like kind of more of a wiggly kind of a look. Not quite so perfect and even, but you do your type of personality, of your type of line work. It's just very relaxing. It's amazing what comes together from a few messy scratches that ends up being something really pretty. So don't ever be afraid to be messy and really rough when you're sketching, and Don't get discouraged at that point because you can see it does come together. All right, let's just do this. So maybe we'll see kind of a little bit of the top. I don't want it to be too big actually. Maybe like that. You'll see it down here. And then we can just kind of have some lines. We can show it that it's that rough kind of look. You can stipple maybe on here, just have that texture a bit different. All right. Well, I guess I can do this line too before I do all those lines. Okay, I think this one is just going to be behind. I'm trying to decide whether I want it actually to come over top of the flower or not. I didn't sketch it like that, but let's see what makes the most sense. Then that wrecks the berries, or do we just have it? Well, maybe if you just see the one side of that, I'm happy with that. You just kind of want to know that it ends. Otherwise, if it just fades into it, it might look a little bit awkward. Okay, that's fine. That I can deal with. Lovely. Now these might have a few lines here just to show the creases. Maybe that's a little bit too aggressive there. You want it a little heavier at the top and then fade away a bit more. And maybe not so evenly spaced too. Just a little bit more subtle there. Okay, so that's our pumpkin. Let's do our little flower here. So I think for just the center, I'm going to keep it fairly simple. I'm just going to do these little upside down U's basically. Just these little rounded bits. We'll just make it look like there's texture there. It's probably good. And then we'll have our lovely little petals. I just like to make these nice and wiggly. And here I'm going to have it so that one is also showing a little bit of that edge. I just don't want that to come together there, otherwise I can't read it as well. And then here, another little edge, just so that all these ones are a little curving in a bit. Okay, and then I'll just have some lovely little, kind of like little veins, more pressure at the center. You can have them come from the top too if you have little opportunities where it looks like a little fold there, or just a little crease. That looks nice too. Just make sure they go in the direction of the petal. Okay, that looks pretty. Now for our foliage, let's just, these little berries, maybe they'll have a dot on them, not right in the middle, kind of more at the top. And you will have to do a little bit of of erasing here. But that's easily done. Okay. Just make sure they're kind of peeking out so they're not just all lined up with, what I mean by that is don't have them all like exactly like that. If you have them so they're peeking out, it'll make it look a little bit natural, a little bit more so than if they're all perfectly lined up. Okay, maybe I'll do this one first here. Okay. It's just pretty simple at this point, just tracing and, perfecting kind of what you've already mapped out here. See here, I just made sure that one behind so it wasn't matching up side by side like that. Doesn't look very good, so having it, go behind or in front of it would be the choice there for sure. Same with here, I'm trying to make sure that it doesn't line up perfectly with any of the lines, so it's separate so you can see it clearly. Okay, let's have a look. We'll turn our little sketch off and see if there's anything to fix. I feel like this could just be a little bit darker there. Okay, well, it certainly is pretty. All right, so I think that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and if you did, I'd love it if you gave it a like and a thumbs up. It helps me out so much. So again, thank you for joining me. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.